She could feel the laughter before she heard it, rolling across the training range like a wave. The SEALs had gathered in a loose circle, eyes bright with mockery, and the words hit her like a cold gust of wind. "You're not a sniper," one of them said, voice dripping with certainty. "You're a medic. Why are you even holding that rifle?" Her cheeks burned, her throat tightened. For a moment, she felt the old familiar urge to shrink, like she always did when someone tried to put her back in a box. But she didn't. She looked straight at them, calm and steady, as if she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. The sun was harsh, turning dust into glitter that drifted through the air like tiny sparks. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of everything she'd carried to get here. She'd spent years proving herself to people who didn't want to be proven wrong. She'd trained in silence, pushed through pain, and watched teammates fall while she kept moving forward. The doubt was always there, like a shadow at her heels. And now, here it was again. The commander watched from the edge of the group, his face unreadable. He didn't laugh. He didn't scold. He simply observed, like he was waiting to see if she would break. She lifted the rifle and stepped into the firing lane, her boots sinking slightly into the sand. The air was still, the kind of stillness that makes every small sound feel enormous. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. She could hear the murmurs behind her, quiet, skeptical, almost cruel. She aimed. The target was a simple black silhouette. But in her mind, it was something far bigger, a symbol of every person who had ever told her she didn't belong. She breathed in, felt the grit in her lungs, and squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out, sharp and clean. A perfect hit. The SEALs fell silent. She fired again. Another perfect hit. Her heart pounded. She didn't let it show. She didn't look up. She kept shooting, each bullet landing with a quiet confidence that spoke louder than any insult. The cluster of holes on the target was tight, almost impossible. The group's laughter had vanished, replaced by a stunned, uneasy silence. The commander stepped forward.
Ow.
The sand crunched under his boots, and the sound echoed through the quiet like a judge's gavel. He looked at her target, then at her, and the expression on his face shifted just slightly. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. "Good," he said simply. "But this isn't about the range." She swallowed. Her throat felt dry. "Then what is it about?" He nodded toward the far end of the training field where a new scenario had been set up, an extraction. Drill, hostiles, a wounded teammate, a civilian caught in the middle. It's the kind of situation where hesitation could mean death. The SEALs moved into position with the kind of precision that made her feel both terrified and inspired. Their movements were synchronized, like a tide of bodies flowing toward the same goal. The wind picked up, stirring dust into the air. The heat made the world shimmer. She stepped forward anyway, rifle ready. Inside her, a storm of doubt raged. She had the skill, but did she have the right? Did she belong in this world of men who lived on certainty? Could she pull the trigger when a mistake meant a life? The drill began. Gunfire erupted, shouts, commands. The world narrowed into a series of split-second decisions. She saw the wounded teammate fall, and the civilian freeze in terror. The hostile moved like a shadow between rocks, closing in fast. Her hands shook. She could feel the moral weight of the moment pressing down on her. Shoot and risk the civilian, or wait and risk her teammate. The question felt impossible. The kind that keeps you awake at night. She took a breath. She aimed at the hostile's shoulder, not the center mass, and fired. The shot struck true, but the bullet didn't kill. It disabled. The hostile dropped, writhing, unable to move. The civilian stumbled backward, safe. The teammate was pulled to cover, alive. The SEALs froze. Then, slowly, a silence turned into a murmur. The murmur turned into respect. One of the men finally spoke, voice low and sincere. "You did that? On purpose." She nodded, eyes steady. "I did what I had to." The commander walked up, looked her in the eye, and nodded once firm final. It was the kind of nod that meant she had earned something more than approval. It meant she had earned trust. The SEALs didn't mock her again. They didn't need to. Her silence was now the kind that held admiration. She stood there, dust settling around her like a quiet blessing, and realized the truth. It wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about proving herself right. Because strength isn't only found in muscle or skill. It's found in the courage to stand in the middle of doubt and still choose what it's right. Because courage isn't loud. It's steady. It's quiet. It's the kind of strength that refuses to shrink just because someone else tried to make you small. And in that same desert sun, where she was once laughed at, she stood taller than anyone there because she had finally stopped letting other people define her. If this story moved you, leave a comment and tell me what part hit you hardest. And if you want more stories that honor real courage, subscribe and join the family, because here, we don't just tell stories, we celebrate the people behind them.